We've seen a changing landscape and a lot of pressure and action over the past, I would say, 3 to 4 years in both DE&I as well as sustainability. And initially, I think a lot of these initiatives were triggered by events that were happening in the world. And so you saw a lot of reaction from companies trying to move in very quickly to address issues that they were seeing in the world and having some kind of a response as a company to that for both their employees but also for their customers and for the industry. And I think what we're seeing now is evolution of those practices. I think there's, if you split out DE&I and sustainability, there are different impacts and factors that are happening across both. With DE&I, we're seeing a lot of new legislation coming into place or being proposed where traditional DE&I is frankly under attack. And so I think companies have decisions to make today about how they respond to that. And on the sustainability side, we're seeing more and more regulation also proposed to be compliant in thinking about carbon reduction and setting targets for carbon reduction over time. And so I think they're in somewhat different places, but they're very similar in that the thing that companies really need to think about is their long-term strategy. If you think about DE&I or sustainability as responses to or triggers by events that happen in the world, and therefore you need to come up with some quick strategy and have a response to your customers, you're not thinking through the long-term potential and business impact that companies really need to be thinking about that will help support their growth longer term and over time.
So tell us about what Index is doing and sort of where you would hope, what you'd like to share with your colleagues.
There's a lot going on, I think, on the Index front. So I'm really excited this year. I took executive lead for both DE&I and sustainability within the company. And in some ways it's maybe unconventional that this sits within a CMO's responsibility, but I think if you think about these issues and these initiatives and kind of what matters to the world as being a very customer-focused priority and imperative, and if you think about it being very much an employee-focused imperative, it made a lot of sense for me to take these on and start to drive them. From a DE&I lens, I'm looking at how we're thinking about inclusion and belonging within the company first. I think starting within the company walls and ensuring that Index is a great place, welcoming place where everyone from all identities and backgrounds feel like they belong is really important. So we're examining right now our affinity groups, how those are structured, what value they provide back to employees and to the organization, and that's kind of a big priority. We're also looking at hiring practices and our performance evaluations and how we get more training across the company and really through the top leaders to make sure that this is a systemic operational change. And then on the sustainability front, we have started to work to measure all of our carbon emissions across the company. And so our goal ultimately is to set targets by probably later this year, by hopefully H2, so that we can start to set reduction targets in place. And so we have then a sense of all of our carbon emissions across our workplace, across our products and services, and across the people.
So how do you see the industry more broadly in terms of progress that's been made or not made, and what are your hopes?
My hopes is that people view this as long-term and that they create plans that are authentic, but also recognizing that inclusion, diversity, equity, belonging, and sustainability are long-term business growth strategies and they're company imperatives. It's not a trend that you pick up and you can drop at any moment. It has to be ingrained in your organization. It has to be part of your business operations fundamentally. And if you get that right, and then you reflect that through your brand or through your people and then out to customers, there is actual ROI to be had. And so you can view both sustainability and DE&I as, oh, it's good for the world, it's altruistic, it's the right thing to do. But I think smart companies are looking at it as a key growth strategy for the future, and that's what I think companies need to focus on and not be necessarily swayed by, oh, there's not an event that's been going on and I don't feel the pressure to implement better DE&I strategies within the workplace. I think they need to take it on as an imperative. And then I would finally say that the market demands it. And so if you, even removing employees, which you shouldn't, if you look at the market, we're looking at $5.4 trillion in spending power from underrepresented minorities. And you're looking at 2045 being the year where in the US, what's considered minority will actually be the majority of the population. So if you're not looking that far out, and you're not thinking about compliance on the sustainability side and regulations that are inevitably coming, then you're not future-proofing your business in the way that you need to.